you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com, thechrisvossshow.com. Welcome to the big show. We certainly appreciate you guys tuning by. As always, we have the most interesting guests, interesting people on the show, and none of them are me. It's always the guests. That's why we have guests on the show, because after 14 years, you probably had it with me at this point. But I am kind of funny sometimes on good days. I think on leap years and other things like that. Depends on the which part of the moon is in shade or whatever. Anyway, you know what the hell I'm saying. Anyway, guys, we have an amazing guest on the show. Before we get to her, though, as always, get your friends, neighbors, relatives, go knock on their doors and say, have you heard of the Chris Voss Show podcast? And do you want to join? Tell them to go to youtube.com/Chris Voss, goodreads.com/Chris Voss. They have those books over there. You do all that learning of it on that Goodreads. And then LinkedIn as well. There's a big LinkedIn newsletter. That thing goes out several thousand people or something. It just grows all the time. I can't keep track of it. 130,000 people in the big LinkedIn group. Follow all those things and wherever, Chris Voss is on the interwebs. Today, we have an amazing woman on the show. She's going to be talking to us about a bunch of her books and some of the work she does, and she's very popular. I'm seeing this on Amazon. She's got 452 ratings of this review, or this book that's been reviewed. The book is called Contesting the Name It and Claim It Game, WINeuvers for WISHcraft. Carolyn Wilman is on the show with us today. I believe her co-author on this was Helene Hadsell. Is that correct, Carolyn?
Well, actually, Helene was the author. Mm-hmm. And before she passed, she asked me to carry on her legacy because she said to me, no one else was going to teach WINeuvers for WISHcraft unless I picked up her gauntlet. And it took me a little bit, but I finally did it. Mm-hmm. And now, after being out of print for 30 years, a whole new generation can enjoy her teachings on how to win sweepstakes and in life.
There you go. And she is a queen, Carolyn Wilman is. She has 3 crowns. I feel I haven't even gotten queendom. I'm missing out. So we're going to learn from her on how to become a queen. She wears 3 crowns. She's a sweepstakes teacher, a sweepstakes marketer, and a republisher who teaches others about mindset, marketing, and how to win in life and sweepstakes. As the contest queen, she has taught others how to win millions of dollars in cash and prizes using her proven online entry system. As a digital marketer, she created visual giveaways, allowing clients to connect with their clients in a fun and exciting way, which, with my clients, it's just miserable. So we're going to learn a lot here. As an author, she writes her own books on winning, along with purchasing the rights from out-of-print mindset authors and reintroducing their books to a new audience. Welcome to the show, Carolyn. How are you?
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. I love sharing all this information with everybody because it's so fun.
There you go. Well, this is exciting. And plus, we mentioned some different things with marketing and other things. So this is going to be really broad ranging in everything we do. Give us your .com so people can find you on the interwebs.
Well, if you want to learn how to win sweepstakes, you can go to contestqueen.com. If you have a giveaway for your business and need some help marketing it, you can go to ideamajesty.com. And coming soon, for all the republished books is the wordsforwinning.com website. I'm so excited. That's our big project this year.
There you go. So let's start with the contesting, the Name It and Claim It game, WINeuvers for WISHcraft. Now, does that play into your current company, Idea Majesty or Contest Queen? I think
it is Contest Queen. Okay. And actually, that's how Words for Winning came about, because this is the only mindset book that also ties in giveaways.
Oh.
And Helene Hadsell knew because she wrote this book originally in the early 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And the information was so different back then. People didn't want to hear about what a lot of people do now. They meditate, they visualize, they set goals. They didn't want to do that in those days. So she knew that if she wrapped those teachings, those metaphysical and mindset style teachings, in how to win sweepstakes, people would read it. Oh. And she called it WINeuvers for WISHcraft, so people wouldn't say it was witchcraft.
Ah, well, that's good, because witchcraft is a whole different way of winning sweepstakes.
I haven't explored that avenue yet, but I'm sure it's out there.
Yeah, every black mass we sacrifice a virgin and a goat, and then we buy lottery tickets. I don't know. That's a joke. People don't do that.
And
at least on
so
Wednesdays.
she knew, so she wanted to head it off at the pass, and that's why she created the term wishcraft.
Wishcraft. So you're wishing for something with your
right, and there's a 4-step method: SPEC, select it, project it, expect it, collect it. And right, and so you select your goal, you project it out into the universe by visualizing, you expect it by living in the end result. So you assume it's already done. And then you have the joy of collecting it. And a lot of people talk about this now, but this was something she had coined, like I said, well over 3 decades ago.
Wow. She's ahead of her time.
Yeah, she was ahead of her time, but there was a lot of teachers. Like, she became friends with Jose Silva. And so she had a 3-step technique. And then after she had won a fully furnished home, which she talks about in her book.
Wow.
She met Jose and perfected it and came out with SPEC. So she took her 3-step technique and made it a 4-step technique.
I love this, man. 30 years ahead of her time. I mean, was that before the internet too?
Oh, before, like I said, the first edition of her book came out in 1965. And so, she was way ahead of her time. She didn't even really enter giveaways online. It was mostly mail-in back in the day, or in person, or on the radio. Those were the 3 methods that she used. And I was lucky enough to go visit her in 2008. And this is how I came to purchase the rights to her works, is because I interviewed her on my podcast. I had a podcast back in the day before it was cool. And I interviewed her, and off air, I said to her, "Can I come visit you?" And she said no. And 3 days later, she phoned me back and she said, "Your spirit guides are so loud that you better come see me." And I thought, well, that makes sense. I'm loud in real life. So, par for the course. And I went down to see her, and that's when she said, "I think you need to teach my stuff," because at that point she realized her grandchildren, 2 of her children had already passed, and her grandchildren weren't going to do it.
Oh, wow. And
if she didn't hand it off to someone, it was going to die with her.
Oh, no.
And then, that was 2008. And then, of course, I had my whole business and everything. We took a nosedive. And it wasn't until 2019 that I thought, her son who owned her, was the president of her business. I thought, if I don't get a hold of him and do this now, if he passes, I'll lose the opportunity. So I finally did it. And then it's one breadcrumb follows the next. This is why I tell people, just keep following those breadcrumbs, because you don't know where they're going to go. I had a problem with Amazon and the copyright page, because I had written it out the way she did, and they said I had to update it. And in my panic, I started contacting all her previous publishers to make sure that they still didn't hold any copyright. Oh. And I ended up getting a hold of her second publisher, who is currently still alive and living in Florida, and who had been friends with her and Jose Silva for many years. And it turns out he's also getting, up there, and he's a bit ill. And I said to him, "Well, who's maintaining your legacy?" And so I bought the rights to his books, so he can ensure that it can continue. And that's how I had to come up with a new website for this year, because I thought, I have nowhere to put these books. They don't belong on the Sweepstakes website, and they don't belong on the marketing website. I better have a book website.
There you go. And you've got a lot of books. Do you want to plug some of these books?
Well, I started with my own, and I wrote You Can't Win If You Don't Enter. Pretty obvious.
It's true.
Then I wrote How to Win Cash, Car Strips, and More. And then I've republished all 4 of Helene's books, which she also wrote In Contact with Other Realms and Confessions of an 83-Year-Old Sage. So when I tell people I wrote that book, they look at me and they're like, wait, what? You're not that old. And then she wrote a fiction book called A Man Called Friday, which is a kind of fun, and it's pretty good for a first crack at fiction, because fiction writing is completely different than nonfiction. And what's amazing, and this is something I would like all your listeners and viewers to learn, she decided in her 70s to take a fiction writing class.
Wow.
And she finished this book in her 80s.
Wow.
So it doesn't stop. Keep going. Like, if you find something interesting, you're never too old to, pick up a pen or a paintbrush or a camera or whatever it is your heart desires. You're still here. Go.
That brings up a good point. That was one of the reasons I really enjoyed writing books, is because I'm like, the nice thing about writing books is it's not like, you got to go on marathons or like do construction. Like, you can just kind of sit and type stuff. It's a little bit easier on the old bones there. I'm like, I can probably do this till I die. So now I just got to write something else. But this is pretty cool what you've done. Tell us a little bit about the SPEC, a 4-step law of attraction formula, and how to win prizes and life.
Well, this is great because SPEC doesn't just have to be used for sweepstakes. Now, Helene used it to teach people how to win sweepstakes, but really you can use it for anything because the process is identical. You need to select it. Now, you got to be sure you really want it. A lot of people say, I want to win the lottery. Well, the question I always ask people is, who wants to win the lottery? Why do you want to win the lottery?
One of my personalities wants to win it.
Right? I want to buy a house. Or they feel like they'll be more whole if they win the lottery. Well, be more whole first and then focus on the money. Or if you want a house, say, oh, I want to win the lottery because then I want a house. Well, focus on the house and don't worry about how the house comes. What if you inherit it? Or what if you buy, you find one at auction that's in your budget, or who knows?
I just moved into an empty one on my block.
Right?
I'm just kidding. Don't do that, folks.
Don't do that. But Dr. In her 3rd book, the name Confessions of a 83-Year-Old Sage, she talked to Dr. Joseph Murphy, and he told the story about how he manifested a fully furnished home. He inherited it.
Oh, wow.
But he had nothing. He was living he was renting a room in like a boarding house, and he was visualizing, he'd selected it, and he was projecting it, and he was expecting, he didn't know when it was going to show up. And eventually he manifested a house, but he wasn't worried about how it was going to show up. A lawyer ended up knocking on his door one day and said, hey, you inherited this. Some lonely old lady loved listening to you on the radio and had nobody else to give it to and thought you would enjoy the house.
There you go. Hey, just a side note here. If you've been a follower of the Chris Voss Show and you'd like to estate gift the show a house, and particularly me, feel free anytime, or anything else you want to take a giveaway, we'll probably take. Except for teenagers and children. We're not taking those. So anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just had to.
Right? But there. You'd never know where it'll come from. So don't block it. And so select it. So make sure it's what you really want.
Okay.
And then project it. You visualize it. This is where a lot of people daydreaming is good, or you can visualize it. A lot of people like making vision boards. It's kind of a fun activity to do. And so you can just visualize the end result. So, for example, in one of the books, Helene had her husband, she wanted to win a microwave oven because that was the big thing back in the day. And she had her husband build an extra counter space in their cabin, ready for the microwave because she knew it was coming.
She was
just already prepared for it.
Wow.
She was getting the energy ready for it. And then expected is she knew it was coming. So, for example, if you had won $10 million and you took the check to the bank and you put it in and they said, okay, this is a big check. It's going to take, 60 days to clear our accounts. Mm-hmm. You would be excited and anticipatory the whole 60 days. You knew it was there. You're just waiting for it.
Oh.
Right? So same thing. You're just expecting it. You're just waiting. There's just this time gap. Oh, well, I'll just keep going on about my life while I'm just waiting for this to get here or to open up. And then collected is actually getting it. But I always thought this was the easiest process until
I like collecting part.
I figured out that some people even have trouble receiving compliments or payment. I had this happen to me. I had some sample books come in and someone said to me, how much are they? And they were a family friend. And I said, oh, don't worry. It's here. You're a family friend. And they said, no. And they pulled out some money out of their wallet. And they said, how much? And I said, well, it only cost me this much to print them. So I'll take that much. And they're like, no. How much do you sell them for? Like I went to Amazon and bought one. And I said, well, they're this much. They're $20. But I said, I'll take half. I'll take 10. And then I realized, oh my gosh, the universe was teaching me a lesson right there. They were giving me the money. And I said, no. And I didn't even notice it because I was putting my, and it's that I always say yes now.
That's usually what I say when anyone wants to give me money. I'm like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do that.
Jack Canfield always called that leaving money on the table.
Exactly. Leaving money on the table.
Yeah, don't leave money on the table. And it's funny because sometimes it's insidious. You do things and then you see it after. And in the past, I wouldn't even have noticed it, but only because I've been studying that I realized what I had done. And it's funny because even when you do this work, you think, oh, I know this stuff. Oh, no, you don't. You get taught. That's why I love doing this and teaching people all these things because it's all layered. Teachers learn on, books like Helene's have been around for well over 100, 130 years.
Wow.
People back in the day were reading Wallace Wattles and James Allen and Florence Scovel Shinn. And now they're reading people like, well, Helene's back, but, Joe Dispenza and Joe Vitale and all these other teachers. They are all building one on top of another. And sometimes you just need to hear it a different way before it clicks. That's why business books are so popular. Some of them are teaching the same things as other books, but when you hear it a certain way, it clicks.
Yeah, it's and plus, you're starting a business is kind of a way of mindsetting, kind of wishing something into existence. I mean, you put in the work, of course, but you're kind of creating something from nothing. You're kind of you got that dream, and you're like, hey, let's mindset to do a new entrepreneurism business. Well,
it's true. Don't get me wrong. You can't just wish. I know she called it WINeuvers for WISHcraft, but you don't really just wish it.
Yeah.
I mean, she had to enter the contest to win the microwave. She didn't just sit there and dream about it. She actually took the steps. It's like you said with a business. Go and register, get a business license, go and open a business bank account, get someone to make a website, get a logo, believe it or not, I still like to have business cards because I hand them out. And because you never know. And those, except now they have QR codes, a little fancier than the old days.
QR codes are pretty, they're making a comeback. I think they're starting to be integrated. I saw something that they might be replacing UPC seals, UPC codes they put on the back of.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's actually one of the things companies use to have you enter sweepstakes. They'll say, give us the UPC code off this product. So if UPC codes disappear, how will the sweepstakes change?
I don't know. I don't know how soon it is. I just saw an article about how there's a great potential for it, or people are testing it or something. So maybe a while before they get around to it. That UPC code thing's been around for so long. It's hard to replace something like that, really. But it might be a great way to integrate what you're talking about, contests and other things too, as well.
Well, they are used all the time. In Helene's day, you had to send what they called qualifiers, and you'd be a box top or a label or later on, it was the UPC code, cut it off the package or do a hand-drawn facsimile of one.
Mm-hmm.
And I came into the hobby at the tail end of that because I also enter as a hobby. That's how I got so good at it. I was a marketer that started entering sweepstakes, and I could see all the mistakes, and I came up with a system to win, and then I taught other people how to do it.
There you go.
Some people have even surpassed me because now I'm so busy doing other things. I'm not entering as much every day as I should be to keep up my winnings.
There you go.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are going to learn a lot of cool things from the Name It and Claim It game. Do you want to plug your other 2 books that you wrote?
Well, I have You Can't Win If You Don't Enter and How to Win Cash, Cars, Trips, and More. That one is where I take you step by step to walk you through the whole sweepstakes system, where get an email address just for entering sweepstakes and always read the rules. I ended up sumo wrestling someone once because I skimmed the rules and didn't understand. It's going to have to sumo wrestle somebody for the grand prize. I lost. Spoiler alert. Yeah, I had to wrestle someone about your size.
Physically? You're talking physically?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was at the infield of a car race, the Indy. And it was 104 degrees out in a sticky vinyl suit that didn't fit. And I got munched.
I've seen myself lately. I'm quite the big guy. So I wouldn't never advise fighting me. Although the best thing to do if you're going to fight me is just get me to run to chase you. And I'll probably pass out after 10 feet. So there's that.
Isn't that the adage where, I don't have to run if you're getting chased by a bear and there's somebody else there, I don't have to be the fastest. I just have to be faster than you.
That or you just trip them. That's my key in life. You trip them and let the bear work it out, And then you say, sorry, it was one of us and it was probably going to be you anyway. So we're just going to roll with that. So there you go. So we've touched on this concept. You have the contestqueen.com. This is pretty interesting. And so you go around, you focus on doing these things. What have we touched on the Contest Queen part of what you do?
I think we've got it, and I'll give them my top 3 tips. Like I started, get an email address just for entering sweepstakes. Mm-hmm. I started with my work one, so not cool. Then I started, sorry about that. I got something in my throat. My winner chicken dinner.
There you go.
Tumblr. Email address just for entering sweepstakes.
Mm-hmm.
Then always read the rules. Like I said, I ended up sumo wrestling somebody once. And then use a sweepstakes aggregate because they aggregate all the sweepstakes together in one place. And makes it easy for you, saves you a ton of time. They've pre-vetted everything. And I have an entire list on my website. It makes it easy for people. There's different formats. I tell people that want to become sweepers, poke around, find a format you like. When you're having fun, that's when you win. If it feels like work, stop. That's not the energy that it's going to bring you the grand prize.
There you go. And do you teach people on that site how to run their own sweepstakes to their business? They want to use marketing and sweepstakes. I noticed Rafflecopter is on your site. We used Rafflecopter back in the day. In fact, you just reminded me of the existence. We haven't used it for a long time, but we used to do raffles as well, do the sweepstakes giveaway thing.
Yeah, actually, that's part of the redesign. I'm also redesigning Contest Queen, and all of anything marketing based. I've mostly moved it over to my sweepstakes marketing website, which is Idea Majesty. And that's where I work with companies mostly to viral market their sweepstakes. They've already done all the work and they just need to get the word out. And I know I call myself the hub of all things contesting. So I can get the word out. And it's amazing that I don't have some of the numbers some of the other sites may have, but I know how to get the word out and I can get the entries in. So on average, I'll get a company 2 to 10 times the entries in a couple of days.
Wow.
Where it's amazing. And I'm pretty proud of that because I just have the connections. I've been a part of the sweepstakes community for over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so people trust me when I say, hey, go enter the sweepstakes. They know I vetted it. It's legitimate. I won't post anything. I've had companies come to me and I go, yeah, your official rules aren't proper. You need to get them written by a promotional lawyer, and then I'll post it.
Oh, wow.
So I don't post anything that, I wouldn't enter, or I would warn people to be cautious about entering. So just like I tell people to always read the rules and make sure you follow them, companies have to make sure their rules are locked tight and follow them. If you've did you ever watch the documentary McMillions?
Oh, yeah. About McDonald's and the whole.
Right. Now, do you remember what happened? I jumped out of my seat. We were watching it. And when the attorney general said we were taking them to court because they didn't follow the official rules, I was like, I knew it. Because rules, believe it or not, are a document in favor of the sponsor of courts that would stand up in a court of law.
Yeah.
And it's a contract between the entrant and the sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
People don't really understand the weight of those official rules until you see a documentary like McMillions. Yeah. That's why I tell companies, even if it's simple rules, if you're giving away small things on Instagram, just make sure you have, a rules outline. As a small business, sometimes I don't have a budget to do these big giveaways. Mm-hmm. I remember one time I was cleaning my office and I had all these lucky branded items, all these things about luck from one of the sweepstakes conventions. Yes, there are sweepstakes conventions. I'm going to the next ones in July in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Oh, wow.
Where hundreds and hundreds of sweepstakers get together and we have speakers and they give away prizes, and it's a lot of fun.
Wow. It's like a whole convention for it.
It's a whole convention. And 2024 is supposed to go to Vegas. I don't have any details yet. I'm so excited.
Should be good. Vegas is always a great place. This is really interesting and important for businesses. I remember when we were doing our sweepstakes with Raffle Copper back in the day, we had to make sure we had our stuff right and make sure we had all the rules and the systems and how it worked. And the language was really important because if you're vague, people are like, well, you just said everybody gets one, buddy. So you had to be careful about that. Let's move on to Idea Majesty. Talk to us about what you do.
Well, that is Idea Majesty. I know. Okay. I wear too many crowns. So
there's a lot of crowns going on.
I know. That's where I work with companies and getting them and making sure they have the rules and all that. And like I said, you don't have to do it. You don't have to, if you're just doing a small Instagram giveaway, like after one of the sweepstakes conventions, I was cleaning out my office and I had all these things with 4-leaf clovers and lucky and all these kind of things. And I thought, I'm not using this now. I literally bundled them up into different packages, photographed them from the floor, face down, put them on Instagram and gave them away. And the only cost to me was mailing the prize packs out. And I just had really simple rules, who is eligible to enter, where was it, when did it close, how to enter, whether it's, tag a friend or comment or it's unlimited tags or whatever it is. You got to be really clear. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the clause that Instagram likes, this isn't in any way sponsored by them. If you have a really clear set of rules for small business, that is, I didn't need to pay a promotional lawyer to do that, to give away something that I had in my office for free. Now, large companies, when they're Fortune 500 companies, when they're giving away cars or trips, these big ones, they have lawyers that write those out and make sure they're locked down. And you have to read all the clauses to make sure that you're, checking all the boxes when you're entering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really important because you get like class action lawsuits and all that sort of stuff. So that's good that you do that. Let's turn to your third crown. I think that's the newest crown you're working on. Tell us a little bit about that.
So that's when I realized, it's funny because I started with Contest Queen and then my marketing side of my business grew and I thought, okay, I can't keep the marketing on Contest Queen anymore. I built Idea Majesty. And I had a niggly little feeling at that time that there was still a third business in me. I just didn't know when and I didn't know where. And only this year when I bought the rights to Tag Powell's books And he is a mindset author. He wrote Think Wealthy. He wrote Money in You, and he wrote a Silva Mind Mastery book.
Oh, wow.
So this is where he ties back into Helene, because they were both friends with Jose Silva, and Tag published Helene's second edition of the Name It and Claim It game.
Oh, wow.
And I had sent him copies of her books, and he was amazed because the publishing technology has changed drastically since, the 60s when Helene started writing and the 80s when Tag was writing. I mean, it's like night and day. Mm-hmm. And so he was amazed at how the printing is now and how the covers and the graphics, it's so different. And so when I asked him if I could do his books, he was happy because he knew I would take care of his work and make sure a whole new audience saw it. But of course, those books can't live on Contest Queen because there's no sweepstakes tied to them, and they're not marketing related. So I thought, okay, this is the third business I knew I had to start. And so I came up, because I like winning in life and winning sweepstakes, I thought, okay, I'm going to do a play here. And Helene, if you read any of her books, she loves her word play. So I kind of embodied a little bit of Helene and came up with words for winning. Right? Because you want to win in life and win in sweepstakes and do this. So then all the books are going to live there now. It's in the author site. And then who knows? I don't think it's going to end with those three authors, with Helene Hadsell, Tag Powell, and Judith Powell. I have a feeling I'll be publishing more. So
there you go. I like this idea. I mean, does it cost a lot of money to find old books that maybe do you find them they're out of print, or does it cost a lot of money to buy the rights for someone's book that if it's been out of print for a while or something?
Well, first of all, I've stumbled across these ones. They kind of stumbled across me. I haven't gone hunting specifically. They just kind of occurred. I think it costs a fair amount of money, but my budget is probably smaller than other people's. But it's not bad. I mean, I pay what I think is a fair amount. Tag says, I said, Tag, what do you want for the books? And he gave me an insanely high number. And I said, yeah, that's not possible. Here's what I can do. And he said, okay.
Wow. I mean,
I try to be fair, what's fair, not to be in, so something I can afford, but not be, you just have to go with your gut. And I did, and it worked.
There you go. It's interesting to me how, I mean, that's just basically you're setting up to win. You're putting yourself in the position to win by, you never know how it's going to turn out. And hopefully it turns out well. And it seems like you pulled that off quite a bit. So the work is in your proof, or the proof is in your work.
Well, so far, and we're doing exciting things too. Like I'm finally in a position that I'm turning Helene's, this book, The Name It and Claim It game, into an Audible version. It's taken some time, so I'm working on that. And then I'm also getting requests for other languages. So we're starting to investigate the process of turning it into a Spanish edition, which is the language I get asked the most for. So I'm slowly, doing that while I'm publishing these other books because I'm not busy enough.
There you go. Yeah, you got a lot of time on your hands. You're doing good with it. That's pretty awesome.
That's why I'm not winning as many sweepstakes as I'd like, because I'm not spending, I used to spend an hour to 2 hours a day entering every day. And sometimes I'm lucky now if I get 10 minutes, but I still win. The other day I won tickets to a tribute show to see a tribute of Supertramp. So we're going on date night, and it's the little things. They're fun. And I love it when the smaller prizes, they just show up in the mail. Like you don't even know you won. They just show up. You're like, really? Oh, what's this? Yeah. But most of the time you do have to fill out a release form and send it back, or respond on email, or respond, somehow on Instagram or whatnot.
Wow. It's wild, man. So people are going to learn so much from reading your books and getting involved with some of the other things. What's the best way for people that are interested in working with you or in any capacity to reach out to you?
Well, and it depends on what you want. If you want to learn how to win sweepstakes, it's contestqueen.com. I have free resources there to get started. I have a free sweepstakes starter kit and 5 steps to begin winning. And then Idea Majesty, for anything marketing related, I have a contact us button there. And Words for Winning is still being built. We have a landing page for now, but my webmaster's hard at work. And I'm so excited to reveal that site. But we have a lot of books to put on there first.
That'll be cool. I mean, that beautiful part about our podcast, it takes about 90 days for everyone to fully consume it and do all the downloading, and then they listen to it and stuff. So, by then you'll probably have the website up and ready to go.
It might be. I don't know. We haven't had our team meeting yet this week.
Well, people will be watching for it. Well, this has been wonderful and insightful, Carolyn, to have you on the show. And hopefully people can figure out how to win at all these different things that you've outlined. And I love your ideas and concepts and very positive experience.
Oh, thank you so much. I love sharing all things winning with everybody.
Keep on winning. That's the real key. Give me all your .coms so people can find you on the interwebs.
Contestqueen.com, ideamajesty.com, and wordsforwinning.com.
There you go. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Thanks, Mounties, for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss. Go to youtube.com/Chris Voss. LinkedIn/Chris Voss. All those crazy places on the internet. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time. And that should have us out.